Hey guys, happy Halloween, happy Spooktober. I hope that y'all are having a great October so far, that you've been to a lot of haunted houses, that you've carved some pumpkins, that you've picked out your Halloween costume. It's that time of the year, and as you can tell, I've made some embellishments to our set because I want you guys to be in the spirit as I'm telling these stories, because I'm gonna tell some stories that are kind of scary. Not kind of, they are scary, like this one, because I heard a skinwalker in our woods. Yeah, that's right, I heard a skinwalker, and I'm gonna tell you about it. Look at this LPS. Thank you. Now, this story happened like 15 years ago. Hold on, let me do my math. It's 2025. 20 years ago. This happened around 2005, 2006, so 20 years ago. Before we start, make sure you go grab some snacks if you want them. I really like Flamin' Hot Cheetos. You know, I hate that I get that residue on my hands, but it's part of the hobby. So I suggest those, or if you're not feeling those, you could go get like some Oreos or something. I don't know what you're into. Get some water or soda, but probably water because your body needs that, or soda if you're like me and you don't care. And then when you're done with that, get your butt right back here because it's time for spooky story time. So I was about 7 years old, 8 years old when this story happened, okay? When I was growing up, we lived on about 70 acres of farmland until my dad had to sell that when he got sick. Now, the part of the property this story takes place on is just the backyard, okay? My mom was in the backyard with me. She was doing her gardening as she would do every summer, and I was back there helping. My mom would just get kind of lonely doing mundane tasks without anyone there. So even if my mom didn't want my help or need it, she would ask me to come hang out with her so she didn't have to be alone. You know, parallel play. So I was back there, and I was all the way at the back of the yard, as far as you could go to the fence line. So we had like 14 acres that were free for us to roam, but the rest of the acreage was separated by an old fence, and half of our land was woods. So you gotta think, okay, the woods, there's a lot of critters in there. There's also a lot of families that live in the street beyond all of our acreage. There's a road that runs through there, and they have land behind their houses too, so maybe there's kids playing on their property, and it's just echoing down into our little valley. Because that's kind of where our house sit, was down in this dip, right? There's a hill on this side, a hill on this side, and we're just kind of at the bottom. So I'm up by this fence, okay, and I'm peering off into the woods, into this area that I'm not old enough to play in yet, but my brother is, and I'm just like, ooh, I wonder what's back here. Little kid stuff. And my mom's like, hey, stay away from those woods. I don't want you near the woods because we get a lot of critters, okay? We get coyotes, we get foxes. There have been bears in Ohio before. They don't live here normally, but they pass through, so like there could be a bear. You know, my dad saw a bear one time back there when he was riding his motorcycle as a kid, so it's totally possible to see a bear. So my mom is like, please don't go near that fence. And I'm like, Mom, it's fenced in. Nothing's gonna get me. She's like, all right, but you better not climb back there or you're gonna be in trouble. So I'm on the fence and I'm thinking like, okay, I can't go back in there. Mom will kick my butt. So I'm content just hanging here, peering into the woods, feeling spooked out by it because it was really dark and eerie in there. And I had this sense every time I was back there that something was watching me, because something probably always was. It didn't have to be a coyote. It could have just been a rabbit or a squirrel, but something's always watching you back there. And to make matters scarier, my dad's childhood home sits on the top of the hill in the woods, and it was decrepit, falling apart, windows shattered, looked really spooky. I don't have a picture of it, but if I did, I would show you. It looks exactly like Old Man Nevercracker's house in Monster House. That's what it looked like, and it was spooky, so I was kind of staring at that. My mom was still doing the gardening, and everything was going fine until I hear this piercing scream. Now, I'm not going to reenact it because I care about my headphone users here, but just know that it was high-pitched, it was shrilly, and it sounded like a girl was being or something. When I hear this noise, I'm like hanging on the fence like this, okay? And because I was looking and I hear the noise and I immediately jump down off the fence and I pause and I'm like, what was that? I get some courage and I climb back up on the fence and I like lean forward as far as I can, as though that's gonna make my vision any better, just leaning forward as far as I can. Kid logic. And I'm thinking, okay, what was that sound? Where did it come from? How close is it? I really feel like I'm being watched now. Maybe I should get Mom. So I'm debating, do I just keep hanging out here, admiring the woods, or do I go and tell my mom what I heard? And I thought, nah, this is Linda we're dealing with, and if you know anything about my crazy-ass mom, she would probably get mad if I bothered her during an activity, because she wants company. She doesn't want that company to talk to her, though. So I'm thinking, nah, we'll leave my mom in garden land, and I'll just keep hanging out over here, because whatever it is, there's a fence between us, babe. It's not getting your boy. So I keep hanging out over there. I'm kicking sticks around. I'm playing in the dirt. I'm pulling grass. I don't know what I'm doing over there by the fence corner, but I'm hanging out there. I'm enjoying a good time until I hear it again. Yeah, 5 minutes goes by. Don't hear anything. Think maybe I imagined it, right? Like the time I saw a shadow person. That's next week's story. But no, I hear it a second time. And again, it's a shrilly, blood-curdling, ear-piercing scream where you think that's what the person would be doing to emit the sound, like some Home Alone thing, like the type of scream my mom did when she came in and saw a fence wire sticking out of my foot. That type of scream. Now I'm scared, okay? I get right up, I back away from the fence, and I don't move. And I'm just standing there. And I'm autistic, so I'm sure it looked really weird for me to be actively in my own world, imaginative playing, over there by the fence to just standing there looking at the woods like this. So obviously my mom noticed, and she's like, what are you doing? And that kind of snaps me out of my reverie or reverie. How do you say that word, reverie? I snap out of it, okay? And I run back to my mom. It's like all of a sudden what just happened kind of clicked. I heard that twice. That's a real sound. I feel unsafe. I'm going to mommy. Mom, I heard something. Well, what did you hear? I heard a scream in the woods. No, you didn't. There's 70 acres back there. How would you hear a scream? There's no one back there. Mom, someone's back there. I heard a little girl screaming, and it sounded like she was in pain, like she was being attacked. There's danger there, Mom, danger. And my mom's thinking, no, it's gotta be a cat or something. You heard a cat. You heard one of the farm cats. They're back there fighting something. Maybe they just killed a mouse. It's nothing. And so she tells me, so she basically tells me to screw off and go back and do what I was doing because she has gardening to do. So feeling kind of dejected, I go back over to the spot because my mom kind of convinced me that I was insane, right? Because if your age doesn't start with a double digit yet, you must be imagining it. I was freshly gaslit. Mommy knows best, so I go back over to the fence, but I don't play. I don't start playing again because I don't fully believe Linda. I'm like, she didn't hear it, but I did. Are we sure there ain't something watching me right now, waiting for me to get close to that fence again? I don't know. I hang out there. My mom noticed that I was still kind of just hovering, doing nothing, and she's like, would you just play? You're making me stressed out, which is kind of funny because I don't know how me just standing there doing nothing stresses my mom out, but she would get like that a lot. She would get stressed out just seeing me not participating or doing anything. I don't know why. I think it fueled her idea that there's something wrong with me, that I'm autistic, that I need a second to take in my environment. She didn't like that. So she's like, oh my God, just play or go inside. So I'm thinking, well, I don't want to go inside. I kind of like being out here, so I'll just pretend to be doing something. So I climb back on the fence and I'm thinking, well, I'll just keep... Sorry again. I climb back up on the fence and I just think to myself, okay, I'm gonna look around for a bit just to make sure I don't see anything. Because if I hear this again, like, that's it. I'm going to mom. I'm making her check this out because this is crazy. I sit there for what feels like forever, but was probably just 5 minutes. I see nothing. I hear nothing until the moment I step down from the fence. The moment I step down from the fence, I hear it again. And this time, my mom even heard it because she stops what she's doing. And she says in a scared voice that I'll never forget, Chess, get away from that fence. And I'm thinking, what? Why? You just said that I'm making this up. Why do you want me to get away from the fence? Because now I'm defensive about it. I'm defensive about the fence. Because you didn't care the first 2 times I heard the scream and told me to just go F off over here and keep playing. So you're telling me that I was in danger this whole time? Now I'm mad. No, I'm not stepping away from the fence because you just said I had no right to be. Just get away from the fence now. And that's all I needed. Okay. Runs over to mom. Did you just hear that? And I'm like, yes, I heard it. I've been trying to tell you, woman, all morning. There's screamings coming from the woods, okay? I hear screaming. And I had just seen Ringu for the first time. And so I'm thinking, make sure there's no old wells back there or TVs. If there's a box TV, we're all screwed. My mom actually, I'll never forget, grabbed me and pulls me into her. Like, so that's how nervous the scream made her. She grabs me, pulls me into her, and is holding me like this. And she's just looking at the woods. And I'm like looking up at her from her chest like, Mom, what's wrong? And she's like, holds me close, shh, and she's doing this. She's scanning. And while she's scanning, we hear it a 4th time. And that time my mom's like, all right, come with me. We're getting on the 4-wheeler. We're gonna go check this out. And then the next thing that happens is not what you'd expect. You think you would maybe, I don't know, go get your husband, go ask a neighbor to come with you, or send them to look, or maybe call the non-emergency number and see if you can't have somebody come out to your property and see if somebody that shouldn't be there is on the property. Because why would my mom say, all right, what we're gonna do is go get on the 4-wheeler and we're gonna drive up there and we're gonna see what's making that sound. It's like she got this savior complex all of a sudden, like, this is my property and I'm gonna defend it. And before you say, hey, that first suggestion, why didn't she go get your dad? He was gone. Okay, when I was real little, he used to truck drive all week. He was not there. So this was just me and my mom. There was no one else to check it out but us. And my mom's prideful. She's not going to ask someone else's husband, a neighbor, to go look at it for her. She can do it herself, but not just herself. She has to have company. Like I said, my mom doesn't like to do mundane things alone. You think she's going to go risk her life alone? No, we're both going to end up on the national news for being red-rummed in our own backyard. So she takes me by the hand. We go to the 4-wheeler and we get on it. And I'm getting kind of excited at at this point because I'm like, who or what is in the woods? It must not be too life-threatening or my mom wouldn't take me. So I thought, because if there was a bad man back there hurting what sounded like a little girl, my mom really was gonna roll up there and be like, here's another victim. Like, what the heck? Why would you take your kid? What's wrong with you? And she didn't have a weapon either. I didn't mention that. We just got on the four-wheeler and got on the road that connected to the other half of the property and just started pulling up the hill towards those woods, towards that spooky house where I heard the scream with me in tow. Didn't care at all. The only defense we have is to A, drive away, or B, run somebody over. And if they have a gun, I don't think we're gonna get there in time. This is mine now. Okay, this is mine now because she can't handle it. So yeah, I say this out loud. I say, Mom, are you sure we should be going up here? And she's like, it's fine. We're on the four-wheeler. We'll just back up really quick if something happens. So we go all the way up there. We go up to my dad's house, past the crumbling barn, up to the trees. And she stops and she turns the four-wheeler off for some reason. I still don't know why she turned it off, but she turns it off for some reason. And I say, Mom, how are we gonna skirt and get out of here if there's a threat, if it's off? And she's like, I'll just turn it back on. It only takes a second. Shh, I need it off. I need the engine off so I can hear. And we're listening. And nothing happens. Nothing happens. She's like, do you hear anything? I say, no. Do you hear anything? She says, no. And we just sit there and we're both scanning. And then it happens again. My mom, I shit you not, it was like a horror movie. So she was turning the key. She goes, shh, once. The freaking quad doesn't start. She goes, shh, shh, 2 and 3 more times. It doesn't start. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we just drove up into like the den of a mountain lion or something. Because that's what the scream we heard sounds just like. You know what mountain lions sound like when they scream? Like this. Now, they're usually not in Ohio, but they can be. So you really don't want to go back in the woods alone without protection. You want to at least tell somebody where you're going and at least have some pepper spray on you. There really can be mountain lions back there. So my mom, she's like panicking. She's like, we need to get out of here. Like there's an animal. It could be like a mountain lion. We need to get out of here. And I'm like, oh gosh, because the only example of a mountain lion I have at this point is the one that's in Homeward Bound that attacks the 2 dogs and the cat. You know that movie. Let's get out of here. Mom, start the four-wheeler. But it just doesn't start. And my mom tells me, we have to get off and we just have to run back. And then right after she said that, it started the next time, which I think was like the 5th or 6th or 7th time she was flooding that engine or wrist flooding it to get it to start. And the moment it started, she reverses it and we skirt out of there and we go back over to our side of the property and we walk back towards the garden and we're sitting there again and we're listening for it and we never hear the scream again. Now, isn't that weird? If this was an animal stalking me at the fence, because I would have been like 7 or 8, like I said, so this is a 2nd or 3rd grader, little kid. If it was an animal stalking me, and that's why it kept making that noise, if we drove that really loud four-wheeler up into its lair like we did, it would not have screamed again like that. It would have gotten real quiet, really nervous by that engine, by the sight of both of us. Sorry. That it would have gotten real quiet and probably snuck off, whatever it was, whether it be a mountain lion or a fox or a coyote, it would have crept right off. So the fact that we made all that noise and drove all the way up in there and heard the scream again makes me think that somebody really needed help. There is a chance a mother fox could make that noise if we got close to her and she had pups on that four-wheeler, but I just don't think so. I think that if a wild animal hears an engine like that, a motor running, that they're not going to make a noise after that if you're up close to where they are. So the fact that we made all that noise and then we still heard the scream, I to this day think somebody was back there. Do I think somebody was getting hurt back there? No. I think people were trespassing and they were just messing around. Maybe they saw us and were trying to mess with us. Like, hey, let's scream randomly. If somebody wasn't back there, it was most likely a fox, because fox screams sound a lot like mountain lion screams. But the fact that my mom suggested that it could be a mountain lion and she was worried about that, why do you need to bring me to check for the mountain lion? Just because you wanted to see it? We almost got stranded there. Can you imagine running on foot away from a mountain lion? And we were a few football fields from the house. We would have had to run out of the woods, down the hill, all the way to the main road, run down the main road for a second, and then get to our driveway. Or you can cut through the woods. Sorry! Or you can cut through the woods, but who wants to do that? Because that's where the scream's coming from. It just occurred to me while I was editing that what if she brought me with her in case something happened and we had to run on foot, because I'm slower than her, so I would have been mauled first. Mother of the fucking year, am I right? We called my dad and told him about it, and he said, oh, just stay out of the woods. And then my mom was like, let's not tell him that we went up there to check. Yeah, let's not tell him that you drove the four-wheeler up there with his child and then almost got stranded and ate. Or, you know, for a while after this, I would go back to the fence and I would get up on there and I would peer and I would listen for it. You know, the scream felt like It happened so many times that one time, surely it could happen again, but it didn't. And the only thing that I noticed was that the side door to my dad's old house, it would be open on some days and closed on others. Open on some days and closed on others. You know, maybe the wind opens and shuts it, because it can't be an animal, because an animal isn't going to shut the door behind it. And an animal definitely isn't going to take an object and lean it against the door on the outside to keep it shut until it comes back. There was somebody living outside of that house at some point, and we even got robbed. My dad's old farmhouse got robbed too. There was somebody up in those woods. Whether they were making the scream to mess with us or they had somebody there hidden, I don't know. But there was somebody going in and out of the house and using it as a place to crash. And I think that's why my whole childhood, whenever I would go sled ride back there or play on the trampoline or go swimming, I always felt like somebody was staring at me. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I really had a good time telling it. All of my story times for the rest of October are going to be spoopy themed. I'm going to try to do 2 a week. My next story time is going to be about the time that I saw a shadow figure in my house when I was 9. Yeah, that's right. I saw a shadow person. Scariest moment of my 9 years. Scarier than this. Probably expect that one on Tuesday. This one will probably go up tomorrow, which I think is Thursday or Friday. I'm trying to do Tuesday, Thursdays, Saturdays. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. What do you guys think? Also, if you guys could, please take the subscribe button and the like button out for trick-or-treating and then ding-dong ditch a house and run away and leave the subscribe button and the like button both standing there to get in trouble. I would really appreciate that. Make sure it's an angry old man's house too who would call the police over it. Yeah. Also, Stranger Things season 5 is coming out pretty soon, November 26th. If you want, let me know how excited you are for that in the comments below. I love Stranger Things and I'd love to talk with you guys about it. Anyways, on that note, I'll see you guys next week sometime, probably Tuesday, most likely. I don't know. Bye!